Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from the Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International here with another hard-hitting update for tonight. So this weekend we saw some of the most successful rallies and protests being conducted around the country, which was fantastic. Personally, I think they should be happening every single weekend until our government, our elected representatives, understand that we, the people, who, let's not forget, as the Quick and Garran Annotated Constitution says, we are the supreme, absolute, uncontrollable authority in this land. So until our elected representatives get that message and understand that we will not put up with this insanity any longer, okay? So really, enough's enough, okay? Now, here's some interesting things to think about. Most states have allowed significantly more mingling in one form or another with friends and family over the last week or 2 weeks, okay? Different states have brought in different numbers, but on the whole, around the country, there's been significantly more mingling than has been previously allowed over the last 2 months. Yet, where's this huge second wave, this huge spike in coronavirus, incidents that, they were predicting and saying would happen if we all started mixing and mingling together? It simply hasn't happened. I took my kids down to the park again this weekend, as I have done in past weekends. Now they're all open. They've been open for a week and everybody's there playing around with strangers, running around. So this week, apparently it's perfectly safe to do that, but God forbid you did it 2 weeks ago. I mean, who knows what might have happened. Okay, some states have been going to restaurants and, you've been allowed to go to restaurants for up to 10 or 20 people. Victoria, of course, you're not allowed to do that until as of Monday. God forbid, again, you did that 2 weeks ago in Victoria, who knows what you'd catch. I mean, it just makes no sense. How are these things safe to do now, but they weren't safe to do a few weeks ago? It just doesn't add up. Okay, the other thing is there have been a number of different rallies and protests over the past few weekends. Now, where is the huge spike in coronavirus incidents that have happened because of all these protesters, mixing and mingling together over the last few weeks? I guarantee you, if there wasn't even a hint of these rallies or protests causing coronavirus or people catching it at one of these events, the media would have been all over it. But of course, it simply hasn't happened because it's all a load of absolute rubbish. Okay, let's not forget 90% of people who get this virus recover, yet the government has allowed us to shut down 90% of the country and cost 1 million people their jobs. Let's not forget about that. 1 million people have lost their jobs because of this. It's absolutely insane. And again, let's not forget that when this all started, okay, people were, who came in from high-risk countries, China, the USA, Italy, places like that, all they had to do was self-isolate for 2 weeks. We've been forced to self-isolate for, give or take 8 weeks now. Why? It just doesn't make any sense, okay? Now, this has all basically come about because of a glorified flu, okay? It's absolutely insane. The real killer here is the number of suicides. I've said this on other videos. I've said it on some of our radio shows, okay? There has been a higher number of suicides in the past few months, okay, then there have been actual COVID-19 attributed deaths. And I say attributed because, as we know, most of the people that died supposedly from COVID-19 actually had other underlying health issues beforehand. Okay, the people who committed suicide didn't have issues beforehand, or the majority of them certainly didn't. Okay, they've done that because of this lockdown. Okay, so this lockdown, this continued lockdown and continued erosion of our rights, this continued insanity about social distancing has actually caused more deaths than it has saved. Now, if all the trolls that get onto our websites and onto our Facebook groups and onto our videos, that keep spouting all this rubbish about every life matters, how about we think about that seriously and genuinely start acting as if every life matters. Okay, the people who are dying that otherwise simply would not have because of the lockdown, not because of the COVID-19. How about we end this ridiculous restrictions, this constant erosion of our rights and freedoms and liberties right now, and at the very least, as a starting point, let's go back to the previous normal. Not that I agree that that was normal in any way, shape or form, and it certainly wasn't acceptable, but as a starting point, let's go back to that normal and let people get back on with their lives and try and, reboot and recover, at least a portion of what they've lost and what this insanity has cost them. And then once we've gone back to normal, how about we band together, now that people are finally starting to wake up, now that people are starting to understand these issues, how about we start creating a new normal? Okay, so here's a couple of points that you might want to consider. How about we start to end the fraud that's committed by the banks every single day? Most people haven't got a clue about it. How about what we do what they did in Iceland, and we unplug from the Federal Reserve System and end this insanity of debt slavery that we're all being subjected to? Okay, how about we get our politicians to abide by the founding law in this country, which of course is the Commonwealth Constitution? How about we get our elected representatives to swear an oath of allegiance to the true Queen, the Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, not this fictitious, unlawful Queen of Australia, whatever the hell that is? I guarantee you, just making those few small changes would immediately, and significantly positively impact the life of all Australians if we just made those few changes. Now, let's hold on to our hats for a moment. Let's imagine we go completely wild and crazy. Okay, what about if we stop local councils from acting as de facto third tiers of government, which is what they're currently doing, introducing bylaws, exponentially increasing rates? How about we put an end to that? Because after all, they have no lawful authority to do that. They only have the power to operate as a department of the state. Go and look up our local government class action if you want to find out more about that. Okay, what about if we disband this non-legal entity known as the ATO? Okay, get rid of them altogether, and how about we start having some lawfully appointed commissioners and deputy commissioners of taxation, which of course is not what happens at the moment. Okay, people who are proven to have been sworn in, traceable back to the Commonwealth Constitution. Then how about then we empower those people to go after the big corporations that are, raking in billions of dollars of profits and paying almost no tax? How about we start getting some tax from those organisations, from those corporations, and we stop this insanity of paying personal income tax, which after all has always been and will always be completely voluntary. If you don't know the history of it, go and look it up. It was brought in simply to fund the World War, and when that finished, it was supposed to end. But they're all so hooked on the money, they've just kept it going. Okay? And let's not forget about the fact that the ATO can't even give you a written definition of income. All right, I mean, this is madness. These are the things we need to change. Maybe we could get the police to stop using flawed and faulty speed detection devices simply to extract money, from innocent motorists. Maybe we could get all state departments to admit that private registration, private registration is a one-off fee for life. Go and look it up. But what they do is they trick you into commercially registering in the all caps name and paying a fee every year. Okay, but here's the thing. Once your vehicle, your automobile, make sure you understand the difference between the terms, is first registered when it's first sold from a car yard, it's registered for life. Even if it's written off, it's registered as a write-off. So all these unregistered vehicle fees, because you forgot to pay or didn't pay an annual fee, are completely unlawful. How about we start attacking some of these things? Now, God forbid, wild, crazy idea now, but maybe we could get our politicians to encourage vaccination, rather than making it mandatory. Maybe they could encourage it, I don't know, by doing some testing. Some significant long-term testing and showing people that it's safe, and therefore using the facts and figures that they are relying on or want us to believe that they're relying on, and showing people how wonderful these vaccinations are and making people want to do it rather than forcing them to do it. And of course, if they still choose not to, allowing them that option. Same with 5G. How about you create this burning desire that people want 5G installed in their areas so badly because they think it's wonderful because you've shown them all the tests about how great it is and how safe it is, rather than forcing it on people. These are the changes that we need to make. Do you think these are slightly better ways for our government to be doing things than what they're doing at the moment? It just makes a lot more sense. And if that's what you believe and if that's what you want, you need to do something about it. Our government's not just going to wake up one day and go, oh, look, we don't need all that lovely money anymore. We're going to listen to what these people have been saying for the last few decades and we're just going to change everything around. No, they're not going to do that. Okay, we need to force them to do that. We need to make them do that. We need to continue bombarding them with those My Will letters. Okay, we need to keep taking to the streets in these organised, well organised, I might say, especially for this weekend, rallies and protests. We need to start letting them know that we understand that the game is up. We need to stop paying fines, fees, taxes, all these things. Now, if you don't know about this stuff, again, please grab our ebook. Okay, the essential step-by-step manual for understanding and exercising your rights. It's a key book that tells you all the stuff that I've just mentioned and gives you all the facts and figures as well. When we talk about fines, okay, flawed and faulty devices, all those kind of things, it's all contained in this Aussie speeding fines books. Okay, there's links to all of these up in the description. All right, and then finally, if you want to understand, the banking fraud and you want to know the true nature of the banking fraud, you want to get your head around that and you want to start taking action and doing something about it, again, grab that Bank Secrets Revealed book. It's all outlined in there. But whatever you do, we need to really start taking action. We need to get fired up and we need to collectively, this is the key, and this is why this past weekend with all of these rallies and protests being collectively staged around the whole country are so powerful. Okay, I mean, so many more things that we can do. Stop paying GST. Okay, goods and services tax. Yet the Commonwealth Constitution says taxation shall deal with one subject of taxation only. Obviously, goods and services is two subjects. Simple stuff that most people have got no clue about. Okay, but actions speak far louder than words, so we need to take action. So I'm going to finish off tonight by sharing some breaking news. Okay, we are super excited to tell you about our special international guest for Tuesday night show. Okay, so that's this Tuesday, 2nd of June, I believe it is. So please go to our website, knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/radio-show, and that's from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m, and that's Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, we've had some huge, very special interviews lately. We had Nick Patterson on about a month ago. He was the guy, if you don't remember, that held off 22 police officers and a Department of Health and Human Services officer, kept them out of his gym, kept them off his property. We had Melissa Bruce, who's put some really great, really powerful petitions up online that's getting some real traction and some real numbers. We spoke to Renee, the lady from Sydney who had her child, yanked out of her arms by the overzealous police when all she was doing was walking up and down the street exercising her rights. She had the media camped outside her house for days and she refused to do an interview with any of them, but she spoke to us. Okay, and then of course we had Michael Sims on last week, who's the guy, the mastermind behind this coordinated rallies and protests from this past weekend, which is great. So we are super excited and super proud to announce that we have none other, than legendary anti-government legend John McAfee on our show next Tuesday. Now, a lot of you might know, John McAfee from McAfee Security. Back in the day with the security software, he's obviously sold out of all that, and he's gone on to be a huge anti-government campaigner. He's just into so much stuff. He's got a lot to say about Bitcoin and coronavirus and Bill Gates and all this stuff. If you haven't been following him, just jump online, do a Google search, jump onto his Twitter feed. This guy is certainly someone who knows his rights and is not afraid to stand up and exercise them, despite what the authorities are trying to do to him. So it is going to be, he's a very colourful character, so it's going to be a very entertaining and certainly very eye-opening interview on Tuesday night. So please make sure you spread the word around far and wide. Tuesday night, knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/radio-show, 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. Until then, have a great remainder of your weekend. We look forward to talking to you all on Tuesday night. Thank you.